New episodes of the I Know You Didn't Ask podcast are out every Monday and Friday, available wherever you listen to podcasts and on YouTube. Welcome to I Know You Didn't Ask. I'm your host, Megan O'Donnell, and I hope you all had a gorgeous Thanksgiving. I hope no politics was discussed at the dinner table. Thankfully, I was marked safe from obnoxious political conversations at our Thanksgiving, which, there's just something to be grateful for just in that very reality for me. Anyways, if you guys aren't following me on Instagram and TikTok, be sure to check me out there. And honestly, mainly TikTok, because for some godforsaken reason, you need 1,000 followers to put a link in your bio. And I need that link in my bio. So head over to TikTok or Instagram at Megan the Podcaster, and you can find cute little video clips of this here episode, every episode from the last month and a half, and every future episode. Which, by the way, you guys, Friday's episode will be an unknown named caller deep dive. So be sure to check out that utter mindfuck of a documentary before Friday's episode. It's on Netflix and it will truly spook the fuck out of you and will also remind you that people's depth of evil really knows no bounds. And I've been having a field day doing a ton of research from, of course, gathering information from the documentary, but also just the information I was able to find about this entire situation online, which is just bone chilling. It's fucking crazy. So be sure to check that out on Friday's Freaky Friday episode here at I Know You Didn't Ask. I would love to be able to put out a bonus episode for this Wednesday, but it's not looking too hot because I have a freelance gig next week. So I'm a little bit strapped for time. So be sure to, just tune into Friday's episode, and many more episodes will be coming out during this holiday season. So don't you frickin' worry. Anyways, I took a headshot this weekend. It's kind of cute, and I'm very much feeling myself. Again, if you want to see how cute I am, go to Instagram at Megan the Podcaster, or check me out on YouTube. And you can watch this episode on YouTube or Spotify. The full episodes are downloaded onto either app. And I have to say, nobody's watching the full YouTube videos, but I am putting them up there anyways. I'm hoping week over week we get one or two more views, and when I'm telling you nobody's watching, I mean some have quite literally 0 views and some just have 3 or 4. So grateful for the 3 or 4 of you who have been tuning in. So check that out if you prefer watching your podcasts over listening to them. Okay, you guys, I'm reading again. You know me, every month I am reading or not reading. Last month, not much reading happening. This month, which has been, for about 11 and a half hours thus far, I'm reading Dion von Furstenberg's book called The Woman I Want to Be. And she is just deeply chic. She grew up in Belgium, ended up marrying a prince at one point. That was her first husband who she ended up having children with. So she was a princess at one point. I mean, again, just the lore of Dion von Furstenberg just grows and grows. As I read more and more pages of this book, I also didn't know her mother was a survivor of the Holocaust and was in Auschwitz and left being about 59 pounds. She's a survivor, and Dion said so much throughout her life was based back to her mother's resilience and her mother's, desire for freedom and independence, and that has kind of carried her throughout her relationships and her career. And the book's really great so far. It's called The Woman I Want to Be. And obviously, the Holocaust of it all ended up leading me into a bit of a World War II hole the last few days. So I actually started watching the 2024 documentary on Netflix called Hitler and the Nazis, Evil on Trial. It's a couple part series. It's really well done, all about the Nuremberg trials, which was the trials post World War II end, all of these German soldiers who were the most arrogant pieces of shit, killing tens of millions of people in various concentration camps, were put on trial and had to defend themselves and their actions. It's pretty fucking crazy. And let's just say history does repeat itself. So check out that documentary if you're in the mood. Today's show will end with talking about what I'm watching, as well as some Bravo TV news. So be sure to tune into the end. And if you're not interested in any of the other bullshit that we'll be talking about today, just check the timestamps on Spotify or YouTube, or really, again, anywhere you're fucking listening or watching this, and you'll be able to jump to the section that you want to hear. The first topic that we will be discussing today is the Campbell Soup Company being in some hot water, or shall I say hot broth. And if you know me, you know I'm the queen of soup. I don't mess around when it comes to soup. I eat soup year round. And I don't know if you guys have ever watched this Instagram series with this one guy named like Kareem. He does like these like subway takes videos where he like rides the subway with like a D-list person and they talk about like their one take. My one take would be I feel like soup is a year-round meal or accoutrement to a meal. I mean, that's a bigger conversation of is soup a full meal? If you ask me, yes. If you ask my husband, no. But I always prefer a homemade soup. Obviously, I know that's not always accessible to people for a myriad of reasons, but Campbell soup comes in handy when you just need a warm bowl of something in your belly. You know, Again, not for me, but not saying it's probably not delicious. I can't even recall if I've ever had Campbell soup, honestly. I was a Progresso girl growing up. I loved Italian wedding soup. It was one of my favorites and has remained one of my favorites as I've gotten older. But we have to talk about the senior IT executive named Martin Bally, who was fired after a leaked recording capturing him disparaging the highly processed Campbell's food products and basically calling all of their customers poor people. So, in this conversation, that was intended to discuss his salary. He's like, you know what? I'd like an extra 30 grand. I'm a high level executive, 30 to 40 grand. Maybe we can, squeeze some money out of this mega conglomeration. And while he was discussing his salary, he, I guess, ended up making disrespectful and racist remarks about some Indian coworkers and brutally making fun of the key demographic of Campbell's consumers, saying, we have shit for fucking poor people. Who buys our shit? I don't buy Campbell's products barely anymore. Then he moves on to say that the meat within these soups are bioengineered meat. He said, I don't want to eat a piece of chicken that came from a 3D printer. Neither do I, Martin. And I think I think your message was poignant for people because people are obviously incredibly upset. Campbell's is obviously defending now the quality of their product, saying the chicken from its soup comes from long trusted USDA approved suppliers and meets our high quality standards. A fact sheet was actually published last Tuesday saying that Campbell's website notes that the company does not use, quote, 3D printed chickens, lab grown chickens, or any form of artificial or bioengineered meats in their soup. I didn't know chickens could be lab grown. I know like that chickens can be obviously like factory raised to be raised and slaughtered for the use of, shredding up in a soup or, soup product. But the lab grown is kind of skeeving me out. It's not a diamond that can like be manufactured in a factory that has all of the exact same properties as a natural diamond. Like this is a chicken. Um, I feel like we shouldn't be making lab grown meats, and obviously consumers are not exactly thrilled with this. I mean, why would they be? And this guy obviously got canned for the canned. Oh my, I walked into that one. He got canned for these, ridiculous comments that he was making. And of course, Campbell's was saying this behavior does not reflect the values or the culture of our company, and we will not tolerate that kind of language under any circumstances. And one of my favorite parts about this entire situation is that the Attorney General of Florida said in a social media post that the state's Consumer Protection Division is going to be administering an investigation to check the quality of Campbell's products. And I love how this is when Florida lawmakers decide to get involved. They're like, we don't care about any of the other atrocious things happening in this state. We are a lawless state, and that's kind of like our MO. That's what people know us for. But when it comes to 3D printed chicken, we're on the fucking case, and we will not let that happen to our Campbell's eating poor people in this state. I mean, it's kind of hilarious because, this guy went in for a meeting where he was just like begging for more money and actually ends up being fired because he's a piece of fucking shit. And he had only been at Campbell's for about 4 years now. And, I can't imagine his career is going to be booming after a mega issue like this happens. But, I wonder, if this is going to have a big impact on Campbell's soup. I mean, who's buying canned soup anymore? I feel like, as I mentioned, Progresso kind of has a handle on the market. And do you guys remember those Campbell's soup to go little plastic containers? And it was like a soup kind of like in a mini like coffee cup shape that you could bring on the go with you. I thought Go-Gurt was taking it a little too far, but Campbell's portable soup took it to another level. I did like the innovation. I think it was, kind of genius in that sense, but I mean, who's eating that shit, right? There's no smoke without fire. And I feel like there could be some possible truth to this 3D printed items in our food because, I mean, where do you even come up with that shit? And that would be fucking disgusting. I mean, we all know that so much of the shit that we eat that is prepackaged at the store is full of preservatives and miscellaneous ingredients that keep these items shelf stable. But 3D printed chicken is on another level of bad. Like, I mean, I can't even begin to understand how a company like Campbell's could ever do that. And I don't think they are because obviously they've clapped back and said, like, we do not do this, do not worry. But I mean, I don't think it's crazy to think that some of these mega companies, would cut corners in ways to, hoodwink the public from realizing like what's actually in their products. And I went and looked at the Campbell's chicken noodle soup ingredients. And the first is chicken stock, which thank God, at least the first product, which of course, like in the ingredients list means it's the product with the most percentage in that product. So it's chicken stock, enriched egg noodles, chicken meat. I mean, it doesn't say lab grown chicken meat. And then a bunch of other stuff, monosodium glutamate, cornstarch. Okay, beta carotene for color, onion powder, soy protein isolate, sodium phosphate, yeast extract, dried chicken, garlic extract. The usual song and dance for these shelf stable products to, maintain quote unquote freshness while they possibly just like sit on the shelves for a very extended period of time. But Campbell's will be fine. Don't worry. They own Petridge Farms, Snyder's of Hanover. Shout out to your honey mustard little pretzels. Those are so fucking good. V8 and Swanson. So they're very much in the broth market. But they're not really hurting for cash right now because supposedly Petridge Farms, their most famous cookie, the Milano, the sales are up. The sales are up for Milanos this year. And, I'm not surprised because they're delicious. And are they 3D printed? Is the chocolate fake? Are the little biscuits not even made with real butter? Probably. But I don't give a fuck. If I'm going to eat a Milano, I'm going to lean in so fucking hard. But the difference between a Milano and a chicken soup is that I can make a chicken soup in an hour and a half and have a gorgeous bubbling pot of, chicken soup that's going to soothe my soul. Whereas a Milano cookie, that's going to take me a very long time to make. And my sister-in-law's sister makes homemade Milanos, and they are absolutely perfection and one of my favorite things that she bakes, but God knows it takes her hours. So for that, I'm gonna, eat the preservatives, eat the fake chocolate that Petridge Farm is giving me. We talked about this last week on I Know You Didn't Ask's Bravo TV news episode, and we were talking about how Jenna's clients will be like these really high-end, big money clients. And I feel like Campbell's going to have to be one of them because they're going to need a tight and impressive new ad campaign to regain customer trust because any phrase of 3D printed meat, even if it's false, is going to do a ton of damage. And this story has been everywhere. And I just have really found, this cultural conversation around soup to be basically my magnum opus. I was thrilled when I heard about this. And I do think we're going to need some kind of like Andy Warhol Campbell soup revival. They will obviously play an arm and a leg to the Warhol estate, but I feel like pop art is the only way that Campbell soup can regain their fan base. Simple as that. And you're welcome for the idea, Campbell executives, because I know you're fucking listening. But speaking of Andy Warhol, of course, him and Diane von Furstenberg were friends, obviously. She's truly so chic and like was like an international power couple with like all her husbands who were like all gay, but like that's even cooler. But regardless, read that book and don't eat Campbell's soup, people. What are we doing? We can support Snyder's of Hanover. We can support V8 in our bloodies, but we cannot be eating that fake fucking soup. Make a soup, make a stock, bubble some broth with some chicken bones and some, skins of your alliums, and you got yourself a broth. I don't need to go into soup territory right now because talking about soup gets me so fucking excited. I was thinking of doing actually a soup episode where I talk about my favorite soups of the season, but then I'm like, Megan, people actually want to be entertained when they're listening to shows. So when you're talking just exclusively about soup, you might lose some listeners. But I guess that's kind of the ethos of this show. I know you didn't ask, but I'm telling you anyways. Okay, let's move on to the 2026 Met Gala updates. So this week we received the new theme. It's going to be called Costume Art, exploring the dressed body and how garments themselves function as art. And this is going to be the first exhibit to open the brand new 12,000 square foot Condé Nast galleries. We'll have 200 works of art paired alongside 200 garments and accessories, basically forcing fashion and fine art into a beautiful exhibit. The curator, Andrew Bolton, is saying that this is a breakthrough moment because the Met is finally giving fashion a central, elevated art world space. He says the whole exhibit is about the connection between the body and the clothes we wear. Even the nude is never naked, he said. It's always going to be inscribed with cultural values. So the whole show is body first, fashion second. And I mean, in the world that we're living in where everybody hates their fucking body and Ozempic is eaten like fucking Tic Tacs, we have to wonder why Body First is the exhibit this year. I find it to be kind of on the nose. And I mean, I'm sick of people showing up with next to nothing on these red carpets. For me, the red carpet of the Met Gala is supposed to really be showing off, you know, a beautiful piece of couture fashion rather than like tits and ass. Like, I love tits and ass. We love to see it. I'm not some Mormon weirdo who's like scared to show their shoulders. But I feel like this theme is just like yet another excuse for people to show like no fashion and their newly Ozempified bodies. But of course, the theme didn't really trigger too many people. It was more about the fact that Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez are going to be the main sponsors of this year's Met Gala. Outside of them as the hosts, there will also have Saint Laurent and Condé Nast as the secondary sponsors as well. And, you know, this is not a random one-off for them. Amazon Fashion began sponsoring the CFDA Awards since 2022. And again, like big tech sponsors aren't new to hosting the event either. TikTok, Instagram, Apple, Yahoo, and even Amazon has sponsored Met Galas in the past. However, this time it's unprecedented because Amazon is not the lead sponsor. Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez are the main sponsors this year. So this is just kind of like another way of them finding loopholes into owning our American culture. So, in the past few years alone, Bezos has scooped up the Wall Street Journal, which obviously is like more right-leaning in their editorial work, and then of course is more, you know, center-left and center for their, you know, news articles. Of course, you know, New York Times editorially leads left, so you know it's your decision as where you go. But he's bought up the news. He, you know, is trying to take up space in space, literally. And even that, like, he didn't even go up. He said, honey, you go up. Because if this ship blows up, I'm still here. You're the hero who dies, and I'm still here getting, you know, hair plugs and Amazon Prime deliveries of toilet paper. He purchased MGM Studios, so now he has a massive say in what films are being pumped out, and a studio like MGM is making the big feature films we're looking at, not, you know, indie darlings like A24 or something. He, you know, got married this past year in Venice, hosted a foam party. You know me, I cannot stop talking about the foam party. And I'm talking about it in a way that is shaming grown adults for buying so much foam and playing in it. And maybe, you know, I'm not in my 50s yet. Maybe at that point I'll be seeking something in life and I might not be able to put a finger on it now, but I might age into having a desire for a foam party. But, you know, their wedding offended basically half of fucking Venice, who was pissed the fuck off at, you know, all of this hoopla happening and major areas being closed so that, you know, there could be high security for this massive fucking wedding. We talked about how he hosted the Kris Jenner 70th birthday party bash. That ended up being over $7 million to host. So again, we're all using our money in really great ways. And obviously, last but not least, he's the owner of Amazon. So that company obviously has changed the way we shop while also kind of bulldozing mom and pop shops all around the country, forcing them to close because why would I need to go to Ace Hardware to get a new hammer when I can have a new one from Amazon dropped off by a drone on my front porch in about 11 minutes? Why would I ever get in my car and do anything? Within that, he's also flooding the world with even more fast fashion by, you know, coming out with Amazon Fashion. And then, you know, even another layer that I forgot about, they also own Whole Foods, which has taken over the health food market. Now, having an impact on what we're eating. So it's what we're eating, what we're reading, what we're watching, what we're wearing. He has his hand in every single cultural touchstone of society. And we can't forget that, like, Amazon also is like having major issues with like worker conditions, union busing issues, and, of course, extreme wealth inequality from a man like him versus like the people who are actually working for his company that is making him a cajillionaire, billionaire, the most richest man in the world. So I think the problem here is less about them giving their money to this cause. The Met is an incredible museum and they are raising money for the museum. So in theory, this is great. And of course, like I said, these types of events are sponsored by tons of big tech firms. And last year it was sponsored by Louis Vuitton. And, every year they have a major sponsor. But having it be Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez this year is just another example of like a lame billionaire trying to buy up all of our cultural institutions, which will then lead, our culture towards their shitty aesthetic. And that is just sad because within that realm, we can't forget, when the billionaire class starts to rule our world, marginalized and diverse voices become smaller and smaller and smaller. We also can't not realize that the themes of the Met Gala also have implication on who that lead sponsor will be. So it's interesting that last year's theme was centered around Black dandyism, which was, the exploration of identity, autonomy, and resistance, mainly led by Black Americans. And now, people are joking that like maybe the Met was like a little too Black last year. So like let's get Daddy White Warbucks in here to make sure that doesn't happen again. And now our, Met Gala theme is fucking the dressed body. Like let's just look at hot bodies. Like that's all we want. We don't want to have any type of real cultural conversation around fashion and why all these people are here and why people admire and love art. So these billionaires are just fucking tightening their grip on fashion, culture, and our public institutions, one major cultural event at a time. And I mean, like the human body, what the fuck are people going to be wearing? If I was going to be going, I'd be wearing a beautiful bright orange gown, taking inspiration from the Flaming June painting by Sir Frederick Leighton, one of my favorite paintings in the world. Last time I saw it was at the Frick Museum in Manhattan. And if I had to go nude, I would literally show up looking at the Venus of Willendorf. And that's an if you know, you know. But yeah, at least it's giving Willendorf. But of course, we are poor, they are rich, and we cannot get into the Met Gala. But if we did collectively put our mortgage payments, rent payments, car insurance, heating and cooling expenses, and basically, all of the holiday money that you're spending, haircut money, if we all pooled all of our money together, that's 10 of us, mind you, we could possibly have a table for about $275,000. If we all go homeless, we might be able to afford one table. A solo ticket will cost you $30,000 and a table is coming in at $275. So yeah, I think if we split the expenses, we could probably make it work, right? And on average, they have about between 500 to 800, 500 being considering a small event and 800 being the largest number of attendees the Met Gala has ever entertained. However, because they have this big bump from the Bezos and because they built this massive 12,000 square foot Condé Nast gallery, I feel like it's going to be closer to the 800 mark this year. But I mean, we can't forget that back in 2018, Anna Wintour herself did say that Donald Trump himself was banned from the Met Gala, although him and Melania have attended throughout the last few years, but not since they got into politics. And also, one of my biggest issues with Anna Wintour's list of people who can't go was Tim Gunn, former Project Runway mentor, was also supposedly blacklisted by Anna Wintour after, I guess, telling the New York Post about a story about her that was unflattering. And to be quite honest with you, if Jeff Bezos wanted to win people back, he'd invite Tim Gunn back. Make it work, Jeff. Like, make it work for the fans. That's what we want. But I swear to fucking God, if I see a hard launch of Erica Kirk and JD Vance hand in hand, couple goals at the Met Gala, then I'm banning it for life. It is over for you hoes. I'd like to encourage Lauren Sanchez to wear an Amazon fashion original to the event. She's been wearing a lot of couture lately and very much was, trying to be a fashion girly at her wedding. And of course, Anna Wintour is now praising them for their incredible generosity for putting on this event. But I'd like her to we're an Amazon original. And God knows Amazon or the Bezos will be like collaborating with like Alexandra Wang, who is a fucking pervert, or a bespoke piece from Donatella Versace designed for Amazon. The dress will be incredibly tight to show off that rock hard bod. And then with her, the fabric is going to be off. The fabric and the tailoring will be horrific. There's going to be definitely some kind of lace trim, and it's going to look flammable. I don't know if you guys have like any pants or, pajamas from like Target or Old Navy or something. If you look at the tag, it'll say like, do not go near fire in these pants. I'm like, what's gonna happen if I accidentally go near fire in my jammies? Like, I don't know, but am I gonna fucking burn into flames? And the answer is probably yes. And so, as I mentioned, there will be lace, some type of tight polyester, or it's not even going to be like a beautiful fabric. And of course, this is the Met Gala, so she will be wearing some sort of statement headpiece. And that's on fashion, baby. Let's also see how this possibly shapes the guest list. As much as I want to say people are going to take like a cultural stand against these billionaires who are screwing over everyday Americans, or like, refusing to like pay taxes. It's so crazy. But all these fucking people who are probably going to the Met Gala are all the same fucking A-listers who went to Kris Jenner's birthday party. So I don't think it's going to be like a massive stand by Beyonce who's going to stand up for the everyday people and not go. Yeah, fucking right. All those billionaires also probably agree with them. And they're all tight-lipped when it comes to like the financial realities of like everyday Americans. But the Met Gala itself is kind of for escapism, for people to see fabulous wealthy people doing fabulous things and looking fabulous. So I will say I received an unsolicited Amazon catalog this year for their gift guide. Say I am somebody who is proudly not an Amazon Prime member anymore. My husband is. I've been off the sauce for about 2 years now, and I will not be supporting Amazon, but by golly, the merchandising of their catalog was quite impressive. It was giving old school Toys R Us catalog where you can like cut out the pictures of the things you want and put them on your Christmas list and give it to your parents, and then they buy you nothing off the Christmas list that you made for them. And then it's Christmas morning and you're kind of crying in your room after you like bring all your stuff upstairs and you like refer back to your Christmas list and you're like, it's so weird. Like my parents didn't buy me anything that I asked for. This is so crazy. I know I just got too personal. Christmas trauma. It's the holiday seasons. The tear ducts in these here parts are welling up at all times. But yeah, gotta say, that was a pretty nicely merchandised catalog. And I wonder if anybody else had received it, because we just got it the other day and I was like, well, I'm gonna dig through this with a cup of hot tea and look at things that I want to buy from other retailers. And also I realized I had a lot of things already from the catalog, which is alarming. But again, not purchased through Amazon. I just happen to have fabulous taste. Okay, speaking of the Bezos' besties, Kim Kardashian. Every fucking week we have another tone-deaf Kardashian moment. And this week we have to talk about Kim Kardashian receiving severe backlash after appearing with a rare vintage Hermes Birkin that is made from elephant's leather. So back in the 80s, Hermes briefly experimented with elephant leather. Supposedly, one of their VIP clients ended up going on a safari, and I guess they shot down a gorgeous ethereal elephant and asked Hermes to craft a custom bag from the hide, which ended up making these kind of historical anomaly pieces that are completely rare and really never seen anymore, as well as just like kind of being left in the past in terms of like Hermes's legacy of creating leather goods. Of course, given like the material and the way that this elephant hide got to, the craftsmen at Hermes, it's a very extremely controversial chapter in Hermes's history. And while Hermes never officially sold these elephant bags, they did create a series of the bags from the skin of an elephant who, I guess, was allegedly shot and killed on a safari. So, Kim, you done goofed on this one, because that's fucking insane. Elephants are the most beautiful, highly intelligent, emotionally intelligent animals who are endangered, you dumb fuck. And yes, I guess when they're like, but the the elephant was already shot and killed, so why not use the hide to make a bag? Bitch, it should have never been fucking killed in the first place. When I find that, like, whatever dumb fuck, bumblefuck America politician, who is hoping for the best and Jesus and we love the world except for animals and people and minorities and immigrants. We love everybody except anybody who's not fucking white. Those motherfuckers are the same guys who are like, yeah, I spent $40,000 going on a hunting trip. I killed a tiger. I killed a lion. I killed an elephant. Like, you're fucking proud of removing these beautiful beasts from our world so that you can have an elephant tusk on your hideous fucking wall of dead animals, you sick fuck. Dead animals on your wall and a dead heart in your fucking body. And you know what? We could talk about all of the fucked up things that are done to animals to test products on them, make a leather boot, make leather for your car, all of it. I'm not this vegan queen who's like anti-leather, anti-this. I'm not even going to pretend I am because that's fucking bullshit. But when it comes to these endangered animals, that's kind of where problems start, because these animals are becoming fewer and fewer every year. And for this dumb bitch, Kim Kardashian, to be toting around with her elephant leather is creepy. I mean, let's be real. We always know the Kardashians are have questionable decision-making skills when it comes to animals. Every season they're like, I got a new dog. His name is Pokeball. And Pokeball will live in my garage forever and we'll never see him. The nannies will feed him. He'll never go for walks. And he'll just live in a crate full of his own shit. But he was a storyline. Like, it's just fucked up how they've always treated animals. And I gotta wonder, remember back in June of 2020 when Kim Kardashian was posting pictures from their ranch in Idaho, Colorado. I don't remember exactly where it was. And she was talking about Northwest's 14 Frisian horses. Frisian horses run you about $35,000 a horse. And so while the world was crumbling, people were dying at mass rates, she's chilling with her Frisian horses in the gorgeous, western countryside. And what would you have felt like if those Frisian horses were taken and made into a fucking Birkin? How would that make you feel, you dumb bitch? I don't know why this one pissed me off the most. There are so many deplorable tone deaf things the Kardashians have done, but it felt excessively gross, knowing the fact that even Hermes themselves have tried to pretend like this wasn't an item that they made. They've scrubbed it from their own history, and Kim Kardashian said, no, 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 get back here. We're bringing it back into the cultural conversation. I'm going to do something crazy and wear an elephant leather bag. It's fucking nasty. And this happens to also be one of the most expensive and difficult to get Birkins in general. And we all know Birkins are hard to get. You basically have to pay to play to even get ones. You can't just walk into an Hermes store on Fifth Avenue and say, hi, I'd like one Birkin with palladium hardware and a navy blue, leather, whatever. You can't just do that. You kind of have to work with a sales associate there, build a rapport, spend a shit ton of money on accessories, this, that, and the other. And then when a bag, oh, gross, my joyce's coming out. When a bag comes out that is possibly available for you, then your sales associate will reach out and say, hey, I have a this size and this color. Do you want it? You have to come today, or whatever the situation is. I'm too fucking poor to know, but I'm also too smart to get fucking hoodwinked by stupid fucking elitist bags that aren't that fucking chic. If I had a Birkin, I would very much take like the Mary-Kate and Ashley approach, which is like basically make it like a catch-all bag where you just throw everything in it and like the leather's all dusty and gross and like it's actually worn. When I see people with like a perfectly structured Birkin bag, I'm like, you're too poor to have this because you care too much about the bag staying perfect. When Jane Birkin's whole development of this bag and the ethos of this bag was for it to be kind of like a catch-all bag where you just throw all your shit in it and lug it through the airport and go to wherever you're going. The second most expensive and highly sought after Hermes Birkin bag is the white Niloticus crocodile skin bag. But crocodiles have a different vibe than an elephant. Crocodiles are scary, and elephants are nice. You know, like a croc, I'm like, get it out of here. After what you did to Steve Irwin, I don't mind that you're made into a bag, and maybe this is completely hypocritical to think that way, but I don't know. Like, elephants just have like such deep emotional intelligence. They are strong. They have like a matriarchal family structure. So Kris Kardashian herself is taken after fucking elephants, and Kim's fucking wearing it in a bag. It feels fucking weird. That specific crocodile skin Birkin will run you from $140,000 to $400,000 for one stupid bag that will impress your dumb fellow rich friends. What are we spending our money on, people? What the fuck is going on? $145,000 for a purse? I don't know. I love beautiful designer goods. I love bags. I love jewelry. I love shopping. Do not get me wrong. And there's an extent of which I would pay if I, had it like that for a perfect bag. But the problem I'm having here is that these bags aren't even like interesting. These Birkins have been played the fuck out, are simply for status symbols. And then the same people who wear those bags then look down on people who can afford affordable designer bags that are actually great quality and also offer a variety of different types of interesting designs, but they look down on the people who can afford those bags because we can afford those, but we can't afford the Birkins, and that's why the Birkins and the Hermes bags are so impressive. I'm so over like all of the hoopla around these big beautiful designer bags, because I used to be like obsessed with getting a Chanel bag, and their Speedy bags are now over $7,500 for a fucking puffy leather bag that is like not even chic and kind of like an antiquated style. Like, I don't know, I'm over it. But as I was digging around the Kardashians world, of course I'm with my little fingers typing around, looking at shit. I came across Kardashian Closet, which is, of course, both spelled with K's. Let's not be crazy. Where the Kardashian Jenner family resell their high-end designer clothes. And I gotta tell ya, again, not in the market for anything this year, but let's circle back next year. But they do have actually pretty good deals. Not only can you shop by Jenner Kardashian, you can go through Kylie's closet, Kendall's closet, whatever, but you can also shop the closet of the children. I'm dying for one of Penelope's old dresses. I would love to wear some of Northwest's kind of Harajuku girl clothing when it's up on the website in about 2 years when she phases out of it. And what I really thought was fucked up is that the men's clothing section only has 2XLs and 4XLs. So why you gotta do Rob dirty like that? Like, all the other people, it said like Chris's closet, Kylie's closet, like it very much clearly said whose closet that pieces were coming from. But with the large men's clothing, it just said men's. And maybe it's Lamar's old stuff from the closet that Khloe had to get rid of. Maybe it was Kanye when he was, chubby, like when he was going through a little chubby phase. I do feel like the Kardashian closet is how Rob Kardashian is making an income right now. But again, check it out if you're in the market for some fabulous new pieces for the holidays. And again, I have to admit, they did have some good deals. Again, I'm like not in the market for like a Maison Margiela dress that was once $5,000 and is now $2,000. But if you are in the market, I guess it's better to shop the Kardashian closet than to buy new shit from Amazon and Jeff Bezos. So look at me doing mental gymnastics to make this purchase an ethical choice. Okay, let's talk about what I'm watching and what's on the radar. First, we have to talk about some season 2 pickups and drop-offs. The first drop-off is Lena Dunham's romantic comedy series Too Much, starring Meg Stalter, and Will Sharp will not be coming back for a second season. And I talked about season 1 a couple months ago as it was airing, and I felt like it kind of tied the season up with a really great bow at the end. But there was like a big crazy thing that happened at the end of season 1 that I was like, all right, well, now we can have like 4 more seasons of this show. And I was a little bit back and forth on the show itself. I thought the writing and the plot was great. And of course, that's all thanks to Lena Dunham's brain. That's, what she's amazing at, writing and creating stories and nuanced characters. But I did feel like Meg Stalter was just not hitting that female lead that I was looking for. And so I wonder if that had something to do with them deciding to not move on to a season 2. Lena said our intention was to make Too Much as a limited series. It was meant to feel like a classic transatlantic love story, but with time to really dig into the complexities that a film doesn't have space for. We had done what we needed to do, and part of this job is knowing when to park it. And I do think that's something that people don't have in this industry, where they don't realize, like, your time is up. We don't need season 42 of Grey's Anatomy, Like, let's just, like I said, just wrap it up and move on to the next project. So, Lena, I will be focusing on whatever project you're working on next. If you guys listened to my Anna Delvey episode, you would have heard that we were talking about how Lena Dunham was possibly going to be picking up Anna Delvey's, Scorned Best Friends novel as an original piece, and nothing came from it. But she did buy the rights to her story. So I'm going to say, go back and make My Friend Anna, Lena. If you have some free time, do us a solid. Give that to me. I know we had Inventing Anna, so it's enough Anna Delvey content for, the streamers, but I say go back and rejigger up some ideas about that story and tune into my Anna Delvey deep dive. Speaking of season 2 of Love Thy Nader has been confirmed. The 4 girls will start shooting as soon as possible, and the new season will be out in 2026. That's all we know so far. I'm hoping this show has any kind of insights into Brooks Nader and Secret Lives of Mormon Wives Dakota Mortensen somehow being linked together. Dakota is hot. Damaged? Obviously. Hot? Obviously. So we'll see where that takes us. Supposedly there was also a fight between Brooks and Grace Ann, who's like the zesty, crazy one. And the two of them got into a heated argument where Grace Ann ended up calling the cops in the midst of their fight. The cops show up, and by the time they showed up, the girls had made up. Classic sisters. I don't have a sister, but I feel like that's what we would be like. And she was saying that the cops showed up and they were like, nothing's wrong. We thought somebody was like buzzing up and this is just an accident. And they left. So thank you so much for wasting government and taxpayer dollars, because we needed the cops to go to a high-end luxury high-rise in Soho instead of, patrolling where other crime is happening in New York. And God knows there sometimes can be a lot of it. Speaking of season 2s, the Love Island cast members from season 7 will be getting their own spinoff. They will be on the new season of Beyond the Villa, which was out this past year, that focused on the season 6 cast members. And obviously they didn't make a splash with their show because they're fully replaced by season 7 Islanders: Grayson Blackmore, Jeremiah, Clark Caraway, Hannah, Pepe, Iris, TJ, Andrina, Chris, Belay, Coco, and Taylor will all be a part of season 2 of Beyond the Villa. I guess all of them must have moved to Los Angeles. They're all pursuing Hollywood opportunities. And I mean, I don't care. Crickets, I don't care. Filming is currently underway. The new season will be out in the new year, and I don't fucking care. I don't care. I don't care. Why am I talking about it on my show? I don't know. But if all of them move to a place to then just create fake drama around their friendships in this new place, and it's just them all trying to be influencers, that's just not exciting for me. Maybe they'll be dating, who knows? But we also need to talk about how Iris and TJ are confirmed to be dating as a couple. I saw some pictures of him holding her like a really hot, strong guy. I've never been a girl who likes to be picked up. Even if a guy was able to pick me up, I think I have body dysmorphia, where I'm going to be so chunky that this man will never be able to hold me. His knees will buckle as he holds me. I've never been a carrying type of girl, but I feel like Iris is always being lifted up into the air and swept away to glorious, beautiful places. I'm just walking side by side with my partner. We just walk to the bedroom. We don't have a performance of him bringing me in. We've also been together for 4 years. So the swooping up time frame for us is done. That's in the honeymoon phase, very much so. Moving on to Eddie Murphy's documentary on Netflix. And my God, is this man a multi-hyphenate? Singer, actor, comic, movie star. He pops off at age 19, immediately gets on to the second season of Saturday Night Live. He immediately gets swept into Hollywood, in every fucking major picture. He was really a huge actor that paved the way for Black actors. He very much talks about his relationship in comparison to Richard Pryor, who was another Black comedian. And he felt like at that time, there was only space for one Black comedian. And they talk a little bit about the relationship that they had with one another, because of course Richard Pryor knew, wow, okay, Eddie Murphy is kind of becoming the next Richard Pryor. But Richard Pryor sitting there like, hey, I'm not fucking dead. Like, what about me? Like, I still can do movies too. But he talks all about his career and how he never was the partying, drugs, and alcohol type, whereas so many of his other coworkers and friends were, and that actually brought them down. John Belushi and Chris Farley just being two examples where these incredible dynamos passed away too early because of drugs and alcohol. And he never fell into those traps. And he always had a really strong head on his shoulders. And he talked about his childhood with his parents and his stepfather, who really helped guide him to be the man that he is today. And I'm sorry, his laughter throughout the documentary was just infectious. He has just this beautiful energy that can't be denied. I really enjoyed watching his documentary. We have to talk a little bit about The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives season 3. I'm just a few episodes in, and I gotta say I'm fucking bored. Get Marciano off my goddamn screen. And I mean, let's just jump right into it, because we're not going to be doing any Secret Lives recaps on this show, because I just don't fucking care about the show. I gave it my all. I'll finish the season because I am not a quitter. Well, I am a quitter, but like not all the time. But I mean, we have to talk about what happened last week. Jesse exposed to the internet what the hell was going on with Demi and her husband and the phrase fruity pebbles. So if you have kids in the car, let's throw the AirPods on and not let them hear this. Jesse exposed that Demi and her husband like scat play. Like they are into pee play. And Demi admitted to pissing in her husband's mouth. And they only did it one time, she said, which, Jesse came in hot with that accusation. And then Demi said it was just once. And I feel like nothing is ever once. Like, you told your friends that you're pissing in your man's mouth, and then you get on a reality show with them. If you don't think that this type of sexual proclivity is going to become a storyline, then you're fucking foolish. I don't want to talk about piss anymore. I'm disgusted by Fruity Pebbles. I'm devastated at the harm this is going to do to the Fruity Pebbles brand. I feel like they are in the same place right now as Campbell's. They're like, what's our new strategy? People associate our Fruity Pebbles cereal with pissing in their mouths. Can't we just end the year without peeing in each other's mouths? Is that too much to fucking ask for? I don't fucking know. This week in Bravo TV news has been popping off. As we know, Beverly Hills Housewives and the new Vanderpump Rules are out this week on Tuesday and Thursday. I cannot fucking wait. Sign me up, strap me in. But we have to talk about Mother of the Year, Kelly Dodd, whose voicemail to her daughter Jolie was exposed to the internet this week. And I just have to say, I'm glad Kelly didn't send the voice note with like the pig emoji face like she did to Vicky. So the two of them have been beefing, and we talked about it a couple months ago, how I guess they had a big fight. Jolie was calling Kelly names and threw keys at her face. And if Kelly was my mom too, I probably would also be throwing some keys at her face and calling her a cunt. Like, why not? Jolie has blocked Kelly everywhere. And I guess Kelly ended up sending a very venomous voicemail to Jolie that basically was calling her a dumb little girl, saying you're stupid if you're going to be thinking you're going to be winning this argument, which, like, it's your fucking daughter. There's no winning or losing, you dumb bitch. She said her lawyer is laughing at her and her dad. She tells Jolie, quote, I'm sorry you have a mental illness. She said, I gave you doctor appointments. I housed you. I paid for your college. Bitch, that's what a fucking parent does. That's what you sign up for when you let your husband raw dog you, honey. Like, are you fucking kidding me? It's funny because Kelly seems to have forgotten the one thing she didn't provide her daughter was an emotionally safe space. Yes, you provided healthcare. Yes, you gave her school. But if you're an emotionally abusive parent, all of those things that you did provide kind of aren't shit. And she's like, you have no idea what this girl has said to me. It's like, yeah, she's fucking 20 years old. and you're her mother. Where do you think she learned this type of behavior from? Dumb fuck. So we'll see and watch that space, because this bitch is just gearing up. She's already making TikToks, Instagrams about all this drama, which is really healthy, you know? So Megan King Edmonds, another questionable mother from the Orange County Housewives, is now possibly losing custody of her 3 children with ex-husband Jim Edmonds. So supposedly a school employee actually filed a report with the Child Protective Services about Megan because she was giving one of her twin sons unsubscribed medications and asking the school nurse to actually administer it. So I'm guessing if you have medication, I'm guessing if you have medication that your children needs so I'm guessing if you have medication your kid needs to take, your school needs to have some sort of paperwork to prove that it's necessary. So after that, the school ended up reaching out to Child Protective Services about this matter. And so now the kids have been removed from her custody, and Megan was granted supervised visitation of the kids, while Jim and his new wife will receive sole physical custody of the children. People are saying that allegedly Megan's also not even attending most of her supervised visits that she's had since this entire thing happened. So shit is dark over there. Megan obviously like has serious issues. We saw her like have like a 72-hour marriage with, you know, Biden's like nephew or some shit, and that obviously didn't work out. And we had some issues with possibly like a restraining order and trespassing issue back in May, where Megan was fighting with Courtney, Jim's new wife, about, you know, dropping a dress off to her daughter, and she was trying to weasel her way into the house somehow, but the daughter and Jim weren't home. So, you know, she called the cops on her and tried to get her the fuck off the property. So this is all really bad. I mean, how much do I have to go into like another like kind of sad, neglectful parenting story? But like when a school's getting involved in calling Child Protective Services, I just try not to touch that with a 10-foot pole. We have to talk a little bit about the Real Housewives of Potomac ladies, Giselle Bryant and Robin Dixon, who co-host the podcast Reasonably Shady, who have been in a legal battle with Eminem, the rapper, because he's claiming that the podcast name Reasonably Shady infringes on his Slim Shady and Shady trademarks. Like, I'm sorry. Eminem, this is a stretch. Like, Reasonably Shady would never make me think about you, Slim Shady, or like diminish your reputation. And I also like how Eminem is like, I don't want these two idiots like tarnishing my reputation. And his reputation was like about being like a crazy drug guy with Kim, the ex-wife, being a deadbeat dad. Actually, no, I'm sorry, he's not a deadbeat dad. He's gonna fucking sue me after this. But supposedly now Giselle and Robin's attorneys are now harassing Eminem and his attorneys because of issues with locking down a time to have Eminem's deposition. I guess Eminem is saying I can only start at 2 p.m. Eastern time. I guess the block of time that they need to do this deposition is a 3-hour window, which would then require Giselle and Robin's attorney to like work past working hours. And you know, the timing of this is becoming the big issue. Robin did speak about this battle with Eminem at BravoCon last weekend, saying he's still being shady. We're still going down the road of a lawsuit and we're fighting it and we're going to win at some point. I do think they're going to win, but also, like, why are your lawyers not able to work past 5 p.m. EST? Like, I'm just confused. Like, aren't they lawyers? Don't they, like, work long hours? And, like, isn't that, like, kind of the point of, like, being a lawyer? Like, you work a lot, you read a lot, you fight a lot. Like, isn't that kind of what you get? But moving on, Next Gen NYC stars Georgia McCann was spotted with Brooke Shields' daughter, Rowan Henshey. I was saying it a couple weeks ago that she was tapped for a new cast member on Next Gen NYC, and it seems like it is confirmed. She was also spotted at Gia's party where she was celebrating her Special Forces win. So again, watch this space and listen to I Know You Didn't Ask, because this is where you get all the hottest tea. I'm on the fucking pulse. And last but not least, we need to talk about Portia Williams from Real Housewives of Atlanta hard launching her new girlfriend. She had been saying the last few months that she was like dating a guy and dating a girl, but she hard launched her relationship with Patrice Sway McKinney, and she's the owner of Encore Salon Suites in Atlanta. And you know, Portia's had a rough go at it with some relationships with Cordell, Dennis, and Simon, and probably a bunch of people in between I'm forgetting. And all of those men would also turn me into a lesbian. I feel like that's her only option at this point. Her picker when it comes to men is completely off. So we have to just pivot to women. The two of them look like a gorgeous little couple together. There's one photo where Sway is grabbing her ass so hard that it looks like it could possibly bruise, a consensual bruise, but bruise nonetheless. Portia knew exactly what she was doing. She was standing on business because she posted this picture of this, hard launch of their relationship right during Black Friday, Cyber Monday deals. So people are going to her page to look for the picture of her and her new boo, but instead they're getting bombarded with advertisements from Portia about Pampered by Portia and Go Naked Hair Care. It did slip my mind that Portia has a bedding company, and I don't knock fellow entrepreneurs, but I was reminded that when I went to her Instagram and only saw pictures of hair care and bedding when I was really looking for her and Sway. It's a genius marketing tactic, and I'm absolutely here for it, Portia. So thank you so much for tuning into I Know You Didn't Ask. Be sure to tune into Friday's episode all about Unknown Named Caller on Netflix. You have to watch the documentary before you listen to the episode. It's going to have a million spoiler alert banners because it's one big episode of spoilers. So be sure to tune into Friday's episode and subscribe to the show. Follow me on Instagram at Megan the Podcaster. Same on TikTok. And I'm everywhere, people. And next Monday's episode is also going to be really bomb of I Know You Didn't Ask because I'm already kind of crafting what we're going to be talking about. And so lots of good things are on the horizon. I so appreciate you listening, especially to this long ass episode. Coming in hot. Like, what the fuck? I need to fucking end it. And anytime I do a massive recording, I just need to sit in silence for hours. So you will find me reading my Dion von Furstenberg book for about an hour to decompress. And then I will get back to work, people. Don't you worry. Thanks for listening and have a great rest of your week. Bye. New episodes of the I Know You Didn't Ask podcast are out every Monday and Friday, available wherever you listen to podcasts and on YouTube.